Hey everybody, welcome to the July Patreon Q&A. Huge thanks to all my patrons. Their names go at the end of every single video, and they're the people that make this channel possible, seriously, so thank you to those people. I've got about 20 something questions here. We're going to try and do these as fast as possible. If this video is more than 20 minutes, we failed. James Johnston, morning. I have completed my CBT and have gone to a Lexmoto Tempest GT. I've been wondering if I could skip doing the A1 test and go straight to the A2, as I'm 17, nearly 18 in a month or so, and I'll be 19 next year, if that makes any sense. Thanks, Spicy. Also, hello, Reno.
Hello.
Many people get confused by this. The A1 test has nothing to do with all the other tests. It's not part of the normal progression. The A1 test is, I want a 125 without L plates forever, and that's it. Also be able to take on a motorway and take a pillion, but you can only ever ride a 125. The normal progression is CBT and A2, then full A, or if you're over 24, CBT, then the full A. A1 is never a part of it unless you want to stay on a 125 forever. A lot of people get confused by that, so yeah.
Daniel Boddington says, hey Spicy and Reno, question for the both of you. What's your favourite food to have for dinner?
We've been asked this before. We don't really have favourites, but...
We have a selection of favourites we rotate between.
And if we've had the other ones more often, then we'll call the other one the favourite. Tonight is lasagna. Guano Man, when you're going to start publicising that OnlyFans account, As it turns out, OnlyFans is now switching. Some people have, some big people have now got OnlyFans accounts and said, oh, I'm not getting naked or anything like that. They're just using it as a platform.
Oh, as another platform.
Yeah, a monetisable platform.
Nathan Daniels says, hey Spicy, when the DRZ series is done, are you going to make a video where you take us through the costs of doing restoration? Plus, thanks for answering my question about the front L plates last month.
Yes, you have already watched it.
Yes.
Roger Palmer, when is the last time you experienced nostalgia? Yesterday, watching an Ashton's video that was of crap used to get in cereal boxes in the 80s and 90s, and it was one of those cockerels that was a reflector you stuck on your bicycle spokes. I haven't seen one of those. Like, it was like one of those things, those mystery objects you just forgot ever existed until you see one and you're like, oh my god! It's one of them.
Generally, listening to music brings me back, or playing old games. Rob Waters says, hi Spicy and Reno, hope you are both well. My question for Spicy first, if you decided to ask Reno the big question, would you make the ring yourself from parts of a bike or buy one from a shop? And Reno, if Spicy made a ring for you, would you take it or prefer one from a shop? Thanks for the videos, very informative.
I would not do I would not make one out of an old bike part. So no.
And to be fair, it should always be about the gesture and not the ring itself, in my opinion. But
equally, you don't want an old bit of a motor part.
Probably not.
Moto Dragon, hey Spicy, what's the one bike you've never rode, reviewed, but you really wanted to? I picked up MT10 last year and it's amazing. Would love to see you ride one. The MT07 and the MT10, and a couple other Yamahas. Unfortunately, I don't really have the best access to Yamahas because the people I was doing it with before, every time I've ever said to them, like, well, last time I said, like, have you got this? They're like, no. You got that? No. And I'm like, right, okay.
Mephisto says, hey Spice and Reno, if you could be any bike part, which part would you be and why? I don't know. If you could be any bike part. You could say the seat and then you could get girls to sit on you.
I'm going to go with the oil pump. Roger Palmer basically says, what did I say as a kid when I was asked what do I want to do when I grow up? I was brought up until the age of 16 being told that I would work for the family business, I would work in the company, I would probably go to college and do some business stuff, and then I'd be working for the company that was like a construction company my family owned. I could have done anything from mechanical stuff to businessy sort of paperworky side to driving. I could have done any of these things. And then when one of my relatives died, he basically put something in his will that meant that none of my generation of the family could work within the company, which effectively killed the company and caused a lot of arguments, although it was supposed to stop arguments, and meant that I could never follow that career path. Which really screwed up a couple of us in that sort of generation. Quite badly. But oh well. So the answer is, I said I was going to do that. Even up to the point I was asked by my careers advisor what was I doing, and it was like dead set. And then it was like, I think I just left school, and it was, or I just about to leave school, and it was like just about to happen, and it was like, oh yeah, that's not going to happen.
Dave Chapman says, hi, I'm fairly new to your channel. I started watching a few months ago whilst preparing for my CBT, which I finally passed on the 17th on the third go. First attempt, first time on a bike, didn't make it onto the road. Second go, made it onto the road for 15 minutes before flying off the bike during an emergency stop.
Whoops.
Who knew concrete roads have such poor grip? Me now. I was wondering if there were any bikes you'd recommend for someone who's a bit taller. I'm not a giant, only 6'3". Well, you're 6'4", so it's only an inch. But I often found I couldn't turn the handlebars as much as I wanted to during manoeuvres, U-turns for example, or is that just a 125 problem? Really enjoying your content.
Couldn't turn the handlebars?
I imagine because maybe they hit his knees?
Oh, if it's hitting your knees, then just sit back on the seat a little bit. I don't fully understand the question, but basically the best answer for everyone is to look at the bikes that you like and then look at ones, well, just sit on them basically. Yeah. Go to bike dealerships and sit on bikes and find what works for you and what doesn't work for you. All of us have different ergonomics, so just because we might be the same height doesn't mean we're going to have the same, you know. But I'm sure people in the comments can make some suggestions. I'm sorry if I misunderstood that question, I'm a bit confused. Samuel Gillard, when this is all over, would you consider doing a few days tour around the UK meeting subscribers? I'd be happy to pay for you, put you up for a night. I'm sure many others would too. It's a nice idea, and it seems, you know, it's completely normal for someone to do that, but you have to look at it from my perspective, which is there are some people out there who might want to hurt me. So I don't feel comfortable doing that. If I want to go on a tour, I'll go on a tour and do it on my own. If I'm going to meet people, I'll do it at my meet where it's relatively controlled, because at least then, if someone does try to do anything, there's many more people around who are going to look out for me. I know that sounds stupid, but you just have to be sensible these days.
Stranger danger and all that jazz. Mm-hmm. Andrew Watkins says, hey guys, would you think of doing a first big bike video with some recommendations and maybe a bit bike trade a bit? Bike trade a bit? Yeah.
No. No one can say what bike is right for you but you. It's completely dependent on your size, where you live, what you can afford, what you want to do with it, what you don't want to do with it. A million things. When it comes down to big bikes, that's everything. And it also depends on your personality. Like, if I knew that someone was a bit leery, I wouldn't suggest they go and buy a 1000cc sports bike as their first bike. But if I knew someone was very calm and calculated, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, you probably could go and get a 1000cc sports bike. So I'm afraid, as much as people like to make those sorts of videos, the best bike, as I recently mentioned in the video, the test ride of the Tiger I currently have, it's a great way to title a video, but it's not a great way to give information because it's too much of my opinion. So much of it is opinion. The best thing to do is work out what you need a bike to do, what you like from a bike, find something in the between there that you can afford, and then just work out step by step, rather than looking at it as a big ocean. Game of Guess Who, just knock out what you can. I'm sorry that's not the most helpful answer, but the truth is, if I made that video, I wouldn't feel like it was a good video. Philip M, hey Spicy, so my first bike was a Lemon, a 700 Transalp. I took back to a dealer due to a leaking fork seal. I now have a V-Strom 650 XT, brand new and still breaking in the engine. I've heard it said that when engines get broken in, it does free up and become smoother and stronger. Smoother, stronger, there is possibly something, I don't know too much about that. Obviously gears in the teeth and cable stretch and then the clutch plates get worn, and that could help smooth things out a little bit. But grown power, I don't think it's going to be that noticeable. Is this the case? Oh, that's what you were asking anyway. I've done most of my 600 miles with a pillion, and I noticed that I lose a lot of power when the light girlfriend is on. Will this change after it's broken in? For reference, I'm about 15 stone and she would be 9.5, so I am a big chap and I can carry her for example. So I don't think I'd be exceeding the bike's maximum weight. Whether the bike's going to gain a load more power after braking, I think is kind of, as I've said, I don't think it's going to be that noticeable. Maybe smoothness, you could notice that, and because after braking you can actually use the full throttle properly and you won't be scared to like rev it out, you may notice a difference there, but I don't think it's going to suddenly transform, as it were. So I don't know, in short, but I don't think you're going to suddenly notice it like turn into something else. Oh, sorry, he's continued underneath. For context on the above question, I feel like the bike isn't as capable two-up as I would have expected. It's fine, but quite heavy towards the rear, as you'd expect. So I am now sure going for something bigger with perhaps better rear suspension would be best for two-up riding. Or maybe I should get an aftermarket shock and keep the bike thought on the... Just basically thoughts on it. Yeah, adjusting the rear suspension. If you ride it mostly with a pillion, you need to make sure your suspension is adjusted to have that pillion on board, and that should improve things a bit. It's a small, lighter bike. It is basically an SV. To me, it's what it feels like as an SV, like the 650. And although they can take a pillion, they're not necessarily the most comfortable doing it. If you're after a bike that you do not notice them on the back, you're going to want something much bigger and much heavier. Like in the bikes that we've ridden with you on the back, whether it be a 125 or a big bike, the bigger, heavier bike is normally better because there's not so much of the influence of the riders on it. We were supposed to be taking the Tiger 1200 out today for a ride, but unfortunately it just rained. So we're going to hope to find a day before it's due back where we can go. I can test it two up, but I can imagine that bike. Not only are you going to be a million miles in the air and have everywhere to sit, I'm not going to notice her on the back. So yeah, a bit of a long, complicated answer. I hope that helps somehow. Ivor George, hi Spicy Reno, considering you're building the DRZ almost from scratch, there could be many things that need adjusting once you ride it. Have you been as meticulous with the validation test riding plan as you have been with the strip down and build planning, or is riding part going to be suck it and see? Everything's talked up correctly and I've gone through everything. Anything beyond that's electrical. The only things that you adjust really is the chain and sprocket. I rode around the block and then checked things over and did it again, and it's not until I've got new tyres on it and I've done all that that I will then go and ride it with any great vigour. There is no need for that. Everything's been perfect, nothing's gone wrong, nothing's loosened off. There isn't really anything that can be misadjusted other than, yeah, suspension settings and chain and stuff like that, but that's all easily done and has been. Hope to see you out on the bike soon, Reno. Oh, that was the bottom of his question. Yeah. I'm working on it. We now have the tyre on the wheel. Just got to get it MOT'd, which I can't book until Monday because they were like, I said, can I book it in? They're like, no, Monday, and I'm like,
oh, okay.
Right. Okay.
Stephen Billett says, who would win in a bear fight knuckle, Divvy or Derek?
Derek has got the beef. Lee Bayless, hi Spicy, hi Reno. Are there any bike gear, trouser, boots that have a casual look, for example, if you're going to the shops, you won't stick out like a sore thumb? Not that that's a bad thing, just that I'm not a fan of attention like there are eyes on me. I would imagine, to be honest with you, that's more to do with you than everyone else. Reno used to have this.
Yes.
People aren't looking at you. I have walked through Tesco's covered in fake blood going at people. No one noticed. People don't look at you when you're out and about. But
no. But we get what you're saying.
I do get what you're saying. Sometimes you don't want jeans that look like you got giant knee pads and stuff. The truth is, the more it looks like normal clothing, the more it's going to act like normal clothing in a crash. The more it looks like bike gear, the more it's going to act like bike gear in a crash. You have to find a line between the two. For me, minimum protection is RHOK Kevlar jeans, or any Kevlar jeans that are of the same sort of quality. I like the RHOK ones, and I help sell them, but not you can buy any because they're probably out of stock. And the only thing that looks different between those and a normal pair of jeans is the knee armours and the hip armours, and I accept that as something I'm willing to have in my jeans all the time, and I'm worried about like looks. If you wanted them to look more like more normal jeans, you could either pop those out every time you got off, but that would be annoying because you have to reposition them, or take them out and take the risk that when you come off the bike, you're going to take a direct smack to the knee rather than any protection there.
Bruce Grooms says, hi Spicy, have you considered testing a 3-wheeler MP300 or the new Tri-City 300? I know many bikers are sniffy about them, but many are interested, and it would bring car drivers to the channel as they are entitled to ride on grandfather's rides.
Basically, I'm not against them, just never had the opportunity to ride them, because everywhere I mean, I think they had one at the Yamaha dealership, and that just never happened for some reason. I can't remember exactly why. So it's not something I've actively avoided. In fact, I'd like to try the Nikon, which is obviously the same sort of thing. I don't feel like my expertise is really there with those, because I've ridden many different bikes. I've not tried out many different ones of those. So I could try one to see what I think of it, but I think there probably are people out there who've ridden more of them that will give you a better answer on that. Phil Daniels, how is your back these days? Same as it was a while ago. Basically, it hurts most days a little bit. If I do too much, it gets bad, and then but what I've mainly learned to do is sit properly, stand properly, and not push myself, and take recovery days, because that's the thing I used to do. If it hurt, I just get on the next day.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, there is no point me doing that. I'm going to lose more time if I screw my back up completely, opposed to taking a day for that to recover and then carry on.
Kelly Pethick says, hi Spicy and Reno, hope you are both well. Spicy, when are you going to do some more bike ride reviews, maybe some 125s if possible?
Now, I'm already doing it. As soon as the build ends, basically, that's when I was going to start. But of course, we have to remember, these questions were asked like a month ago when I was still in the middle of the build, so that's why. 125s if possible. I will be testing some Lex Motos eventually, but at the moment I've got a few other things lined up. I've done a lot of 125s, and I'm not saying I'm getting bored of doing them, but they're just, I don't know if they're different enough to really warrant me trying out. So I'll see. I know a lot of people are asking me to try out the Ithaca, whatever it's bloody called.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yes, but I can't give you a date on the 125s just yet. I've got a few other things to get through first. Robo Ninja, hey Spicy, hello Reno, hope you're both doing well. We are, thank you. Really enjoyed the build series. It's so cool to see Derek coming along nicely. My question is, what would you say is the best way to get used to riding a different style of bike? For example, I ride a sports bike at the moment, and I quite like the look of an adventure bike like the Versys, but I rode an adventure bike before. It just felt odd, but I think it's mainly because I wasn't used to it. Correct. So would you say the best way is to book a longer test ride to get an idea, or book a test ride on the same bike to have another try and getting used to how it feels, or whilst on a test ride? See if I can go somewhere quiet in a car park and just have a practice like a CBT. Sorry for the long question, wish you all both well. Obviously when I started riding I was used to Supermoto style 125s, and then I was used to a Supermoto style 400, and then I started riding sports bikes, and it felt so strange. And I got my XJ6, and I literally had to learn to ride that style of bike because it is different. Your body positioning and stuff is different. And you don't learn that until you just ride the bikes a bit. So truthfully, to get properly comfortable with a bike can take a little bit of time. I'm lucky now that I've ridden so many different styles of bikes, that so much, that I kind of have like a preset for each style of bike, which is why I can jump onto a little 125 and rag it around, or jump onto a 1200 monster thing and still be able to properly lean it into corners and stuff comfortably. So yes, I think try and get the longest test ride you can. If you honestly want to buy it, if you say to them, look, I like it, I really do think I want it, but I'm just not sure about the way it feels, I would like to be able to ride it longer. If they'll say yes to that, that would be your best answer. But do remember that what can be completely alien at one time, you can actually grow to completely love. Cruisers being a good example. When I first rode one, I was like, this is kind of okay, but I'm not so sure. Then I rode the UM and fell in love with that one, because that was just so comfy.
Yeah. May Crotch says, hi Spicy and Reno, hope you're both dandy. My question is for you, Reno. What? Bearing in mind Spicy has worked his arse off on the Restoration Z series, can check and confirm if Spicy has indeed got an arse left. I continue to be stunned by your awesomeness. You are a brilliant pair. Cheese out. Yeah, he's still got a butt. Still got an ass. But yeah, he has worked incredibly hard on that bike, and I'm amazed that he has just taken a bike, completely stripped the whole thing down to basically nothing and rebuilt the whole thing in his garage.
And filmed it.
And filmed it and edited it. It's taken forever.
Like 3 months.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm very proud.
I'm thinking, I need a rest. I need a holiday is what I need.
Yes.
I honestly, I was close to, once the build was done, saying to patrons, like, can I take a week off?
You could just say cheese out.
But I'm not at that point yet.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I know a lot. My patrons are so cool, and seriously, that's something I want to say. I know we've recently been. So I talk to my patrons through messages and stuff. We discuss things and things that don't normally talk about on YouTube and stuff. And it's just been, they're just so cool as people, and I'm really glad that they support the channel. Is that pen damaged? Oh no. Sorry. This is my special pen, and I thought it was like cracked on the back and I would have been very sad. That's the pen that Adam Savage was saying about, and yes, I completely agree with everything you ever said. Penny Holmes, hi Spicy and Reno, hope you are both keeping well. What would your ultimate bucket list ride trip be by bike?
I honestly do not know. I would like to go anywhere that has some nice looking place, some naturey place. That's generally where I ride out to in general anyway.
Yeah, again, this is something, I think both of us do this to a point, which is that when something's out of your reach or out of your grasp, you don't really think about, like, you don't think, I wonder what Lamborghini I'd have. Would I have this one or would I have that one? Because
yeah.
you're never going to have one. At the moment, we're not really in a position to be going off touring the world or anything like that, so we don't really, I don't really think about it much. I mean, Reno's got plans to go to Japan, and I would like to go there at some point, but that's not really...
It's not like it needs to be done by this date, it's just...
it's also not planned as a bike trip.
No.
It's nothing to do with bikes, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, last question from...
Spondig D. And they say, hi Spicy and Reno, how are you both?
Very well.
Good. Why does silicone go hard in the nozzle but not the tube after use, even with the cap on? Oxygen maybe?
It's a good question, and I did actually see that question a long while ago, and I've been thinking about it since, and I don't know. Though, I think, well, I've generally experienced if you put a screw in the end of it, yes, you're going to get a bit of air around the top of it, so that bit might cure, but the bit further down doesn't cure. But I know what you mean about sometimes it seems like it cures all the way down to the cap, you unscrew it, that's completely rubbery, but this bit isn't. I think there is a very thin layer between the two where air can get through the side where it screws on. I don't know for sure. I guess what you'd have to do to test it is put like grease around the threads or PTFE tape, screw that on, make sure the lid is sealed and see if it does the same thing. Why does super glue not go off when it's half full?
Because maybe the air's trapped and there's no...
Yeah, I think it needs a lot of air to cure it.
Yeah.
These are good questions. But these are also the end of the video, and this is not short. Right, well, huge thanks to everyone who supports this channel, supported the build. I'm...
tired. Constantly tired.
Very tired. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways than just Patreon, I have these mugs. I haven't sold a huge amount of them, and I spent months working on these. I drew this myself. And beef one.
Mmm, tasty.
And I also drew this one many years ago, and I've got that in the mug.
There's this one with the...
no, you can't show it because
the bad languages.
It's this, but it's the non-censored version of smash the like out of the button. And it's so annoying that, well, this, I can't say the other version of this anymore because I'll get my channel demonetized, because I physically have to say now by contract each time I monetize a video, no, I've not sworn like that in it.
I'm going to have to practice that a lot when I
well,
get back to my videos again. Oh yeah.
And there is also this mug with a classic BMW looking bike on there, and I've called this the Nice Tea. It's a good pun. Come on, buy one. If you don't know which one to pick Robo Tuner, because I like that one, and I think people would like it too.
I like it.
Bye bye everyone.
Bye.
Until next month. If you'd like to join Patreon, links in the description. If you don't, please remember to hit the like button. If not, eat cheese and we'll be okay.
Unless you're lactose intolerant, then
eat lactose-free cheese.
Yeah.
Butter. No, that's still got lactose.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to see future videos. This channel is made possible by the support of the audience. Please consider joining my Patreon to get early access to videos, questions answered in the monthly Q&A, your name on screen, and some exclusive content, all for as little as $1 a month. You can also check out the links in the description to my merch and other ways to directly support the channel. Thanks for watching.